I'm Mayor Bill McLeod, and I want to thank you all for coming today as we remember the horrific events of September 11th, 2000, a day that will always be remembered in this country, and the resulting loss of life on that day and the continual engagement of our armed forces for many years, which is still going on in places that protect and promote terrorism. We owe a great deal of debt to those who continue the struggle against terrorism in the country and in this world. We have a few folks I'd like to introduce. We have Michelle Mussman, our state representative, is here. We have our village clerk, Bev Romanoff, who puts this program together with her committee. We have Trustee Karen Mills, Trustee Anna Newell, Trustee Gary Stanton, Trustee Michael Gaeta, Trustee Karen Arnett is out there passing out material for this event. We also have our Park Board President, Patrick Kinane. This time I'd ask the Hoffman Estates Fire and Police Department Honor Guard to present the colors. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You'll all please be seated. At this point, I'd ask Pete Justin to come up and give the invocation.
Hoffman Estates people, thank you. Gracious God, giver of all things, let us remember the families and all those that participated and fell on 9/11 21 years ago. We praise their name. May God bless them too. I like to recite the Irish prayer. May the Lord be above us to inspire us, be below us to protect us, go ahead of us to guide us, and be behind us also to protect us, and be alongside of us all the rest of our lives. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to ask Chief Alan Wax of the Hoffman Estates Fire Department to come forward. Chief?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. Excuse me. It is an honor to be here today. Thank you all for being here as well, and for allowing me to share some thoughts for a few minutes. A special note of appreciation goes out to the Hoffman Estates Veterans Memorial Commission for planning and conducting this ceremony today and every year on the anniversary of the day that changed our country and the world forever. The Commission's willingness to make the effort to honor this day in this way helps us as individuals and as a community to never forget. And as always, we thank our partners in uniform, our partners in service, those who served and continue to serve in the armed forces. These men and women continue to set an example of selflessness, honor, dedication, and sacrifice for which we cannot adequately say thank you. September 11th, 2001. Most of us remember what we were doing when we heard or saw the events unfold, and we were riveted to our TV sets. The day is often compared to other disasters of other generations. However, this one was different. It hit closer to home because we were watching it live on television. Thus, we don't just remember the horrific images that we saw, but we remember the emotions that we felt. And those emotions have become a part of who we are as individuals and as a nation. However, we realize that because it was 21 years ago, there is a whole generation that cannot internalize any such memories. They view that day and the period of time afterward as just a terrible disaster that they learned about in the history books and in their classrooms. It is mind-boggling to me that the young adults of today, those that are our future leaders in our society, have no personal memory of the events that unfolded that day in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Many of the firefighters and police officers being hired nowadays have no personal recollection of that day and the sacrifices made by their forefathers in service. Therefore, it is up to all of us to teach the next generation the meaning and the impact of the events of 9/11. Even as other terrible events and disasters unfold in the months and years to come, and surely there will be some, it is important that as individuals and as a community, we always remember and never forget the events of 9/11, and that we honor the innocent victims who lost their lives that day, including 343 firefighters and paramedics, 60 police officers, and nearly 2,600 citizens of 78 countries on the planes, in the buildings, and on the ground. At the same time, we need to recognize that the impact of that day and its toll on the rescuers and survivors does not end. More individuals have died from 9/11 related illnesses than were lost in the initial attacks in 2001 that day. Thus, it is important to acknowledge that the tragedy of that day continues. As we know, times are tough. There is much that we are worried about. The pandemic and other health concerns, war on the other side of the globe, supply chain issues, the economy, the marked divisions in our country, and the often visceral anger and hatred that those divisions have spawned. And many other concerns nationally, locally, and individually. It is no wonder that your police, fire, emergency medical, and health and human services providers are seeing a drastic increase in patients of depression, suicide, substance abuse, and other mental health emergencies. It is no wonder that law enforcement, fire EMS departments, and other emergency response agencies are having difficulties in finding young adults willing to work in these noble professions on the front lines of the societal struggles. But if we all, individually, as a community, and as a nation, could just remember the lessons of 9/11, if we could just recall the loss we experienced together, and remember how we came through it together, proud and strong, and how we supported each other. Despite the then struggling economy, despite the losses, patriotism was high. Enthusiasm for a unified country and a cohesive purpose was strong. Support for our service members and emergency responders was at unprecedented levels. Military and emergency responder recruitment was soaring. It is also these results of 9/11 that we must recall and re-embrace and strive to achieve again. I pray that we remember all the lessons of 9/11 and its aftermath, and that we actively work towards a unified solution, set patriotic goals, and implement collaborative strategies for peace, for healing of our differences, and for tackling our collective challenges. We must remember, and we must teach our younger generation that 9/11 was more than just a terrible disaster. It was a reminder of our common purposes as a country and as a community, and we must use such purposes to heal. Because of our commonality, our shared patriotism, our mutual dreams for success of our homeland, and common love of what it means to live in the freedom that is the foundation of the United States. Because we seek peace and prosperity for our citizens, because it translates to peace and prosperity for our country, which in turn leads to peace and prosperity for our future generations, as well as the continuation of this experiment in democracy called the United States of America. We must remember the messages of 9/11 and honor those who sacrificed their lives by respecting each other despite our differences and because of those differences, by engaging in peaceful and thoughtful discussions. It's okay to agree to disagree, and it's possible to do so without being disagreeable. Such dialogue is what has made our country great, and such is necessary for its future success. As your police officers and firefighter paramedics who see terrible situations daily, we recognize that the fight for freedom and balance in our society never ends. We know that achieving peace, stability, and safety for our citizens is an uphill battle, especially when times are tough and society is tired, as is currently the case. Along with our comrades in arms in the military, we are ready to tackle the challenges together and proactively, and we seek to serve as models of positivity and collaboration with you, our community, to embrace and practice the lessons of 9/11. As always, your Hoffman Estates responders stand ready to act and continually seek to improve. Your police and fire departments are proud to continue to set a high bar for collaboration and preparedness, all in the pursuit of excellence in public service and community engagement. We are so grateful for the continuous support that you, our citizens of our community, our elected officials, and our businesses have shown to our police and fire departments and their members throughout the years. Thank you. Your encouragement sustains us as we carry out our missions for you. And I can promise you this, just like those responders did on 9/11, and just like we in the emergency services have done forever, we commit to you that we will give our all, using every resource available to provide compassionate assistance, care, rescue, and emergency response in your time of need, even if it means the ultimate sacrifice. So, on this Patriot Day 2022, it is fitting and meaningful that we come together as a community to remember what 9/11 means to us as individuals, a society, and a country, to pray for our fallen brothers and sisters, to share in our memories and our grief, and to bolster each other and commit to moving forward together in peace as we celebrate the strength and character of our community. So I thank you for listening to me for these few minutes on this solemn occasion. As you go out and enjoy the rest of your day, please take some time to reflect on 9/11 and to pray for those who were lost. Again, on behalf of our first responders, I thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Wax, for your very eloquent words. I'd like to ask Officer Mike Kay of the Hoffman Estates Police Department to come forward, please. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, trustees, fellow members of the community, and Chief Cawley, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak with everybody today. Thank you for allowing me to address you on the 21st anniversary of the worst terrorist attack on U.S. soil in our history. My name is Officer Mike Kay of the Hoffman Estates Police Department, but I'm also a recent retiree of the United States Army after serving 29 years of active duty and in the reserves. I did 3 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I also served 3 tours in South Korea and Italy as well. I've been with the Village of Hoffman Estates for the past 10 years. So the global war on terror has not only affected myself and my family, but it's also affected members of the Hoffman Estate community. And for that, I appreciate the honor of being able to speak with everybody. We all remember what we were doing or where we were on September 11, 2001, when we first received the news of the terrorist attacks. On that day, we witnessed acts of heroism from the first responders, military members, and civilians. All first responders, military members, and government officials swear an oath and make a promise that we will protect and defend our country, state, and community in the duties that every first responder in America promises if they were ever called to action. On September 11, 2001, we experienced that dedication to the communities we serve. So why do we choose to remember 9/11? As a first responder, it is extremely important for us to remember 9/11. Even though these attacks occurred over 800 miles away, they had an impact on every community throughout the United States. 19 cowardly terrorists conducted these attacks, which took the lives of 2,977 people. A little over 400 first responders lost their lives that day, attempting to save as many civilians as they possibly could. It is even more important today than ever that citizens understand that no matter the danger a first responder may face, we have a promise that we will help and protect people we serve. 21 years later, this concept of saving lives during very dangerous situations still rings true. It is unfortunate that in the United States, there are still too many events like mass shootings and violent actions. Every time one of these incidents occurs, it is the first responders that are running towards the gunfire. 9/11 was a highly publicized display of how our professionalism reacts. As communities, we have hardened our vulnerabilities and increased our oversight. On a national level, law enforcement as well as intelligence agencies have better lines of communications to share information in real time. As first responders, we run towards the sound of gunfire and into burning buildings. One of the most encouraging events that took place on September 11th was when we saw the reaction of normal passengers and crew on board Flight 93. Normal citizens, everyday citizens, had a huge impact with a limited information and a small period of time. And they were able to determine, using this information, that the plane was hijacked, and they were able to take appropriate cause. It is important that our community understand that this is the power of the government and our police departments, that we will do all in our power to prevent another attack. However, it is each citizen that can make a difference. By staying vigilant and reporting suspicious behavior, a future attack may just be prevented. This is what embodies the Homeland Security Department's campaign, See Something, Say Something. We remember so that we can honor those who sacrificed to help others. We remember in order to stay vigilant against future attacks against our democracy and our way of life. Terrorist organizations underestimate the results of the attacks in the United States. Our country was forged by the determination of the citizenry and literally fight for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When confronted by organizations that threaten our foundation, we as a community and a nation will come together despite any differences and resist those who threaten our freedoms. In conclusion, serving our country as a U.S. Army soldier, non-commissioned officer, Army officer, and police officer has been some of the greatest honors in my life. The magnitude of responsibility, duty, and honor that befalls each soldier and police officer cannot be fully comprehended. And serving as a police officer in Hoffman Estates has been a tremendous honor as well. We stand here today in honor of all those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. We must never forget and honor them every day. Thank you. God bless America.
Thank you for your wonderful words, Officer Kay. At this point, I'd like to ask the Veterans Memorial Chair, Les Montag, to come forward. The Memorial Commission every Sunday at 1 p.m. rotates the flag honoring another veteran whose life has passed. And they do this rain, wind, sleet, snow, whatever.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming today and joining us in the ceremony. And never forget this day in the future. And right now, I'd like everybody to give our first responders here a round of applause. At this time, I'd just like everybody to please rise while we play taps. Present arms. thank you for coming.
I want to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank all our veterans who've protect the lives of our people, as do our police officers and firefighters. I want to thank the Celebrations Commission, the Veterans Memorial Commission for putting this on. I'd also like to give great thanks to the Honor Guard, the Police and Fire Honor Guard, Chief Alan Wax, Officer Michael Kay, Veterans Memorial Chair Les Montag. And as Les said, there are refreshments, so stick around and we can talk with each other for a while as we remember the horrific events of September 11, 2001. Thank you all.